perfect. I must have it.
Sadly, sir, you can't.
What do you mean can't?
It's illegal, sir. This fish is protected by the great state of California.
Give me it.
You know, first of all, we are doing this for her, okay? Because neither one of us wants to get divorced. And secondly, I know you're the big marriage experts. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. Your wife is dead.
Oh, they've got a class on how to write jokes.
Oh, don't take that. I dropped it after the lesson on setups. The professor is so old.
It's the Al Travis Show, and we need to get the biggest things off our plate first. Shannon Watson's in Working Girl. Comedy, good rom-com. Your thoughts on Working Girl? And I'm presuming you're too young for this. It's probably a...
Well, Working Girl came out when I was in, like, the top end of junior high school. So yeah. I didn't really understand it all at that time. But I don't know. It's...
How about Dan in real life? My wife's number one would be Working Girl, at least the number of times I've been forced to watch it. And then Dan in Real Life, which is another rom-com. They're out of the cabin. And I find some things in there funny, but it isn't my genre. Dan, what would be your favorite
I don't
rom-com?
know Dan in Real Life.
The guy from The Office, and he goes to the family cabin. He writes a column about how to help people, how to run your life. He's a columnist. And then he ends up dating his brother's girlfriend, and what do you know? It was perfect. There you go. Always comedy when you're dating your brother's girlfriend. It's always good comedy. Well, what's something you like? What is it? What's a Shannon Watson thing?
So I'm weird. My favorite rom-coms are the ones where, almost always, the ones where the characters don't wind up together. So like My Best Friend's Wedding.
So a rom tragedy.
Because that's the thing. I mean, and it may be that I've never really thought about it this way, but it may be that just sort of my upbringing and my personal life and whatever, not getting the guy doesn't necessarily equate to failure in my life.
Oh, all right. Wow, Dr. Phil needs to be here for next show. We're going to have to go through something deep here. That's well over Al's pay grade. But very intuitive. I like it. All right. Yeah. Thank you for playing along. Mr. Binge does this sometimes. Put something on, it gets in my head. Big story today. Honestly, it's the front page of the paper. I saw a Trib today with Senator Heather Gustafson. We had her on earlier. That's who we are. But I think when people read that story, unless you're into this, I don't know if you can understand how much this may shake Minnesota up. Am I overstating it? It's more than the buy trigger thingy. That's probably the smallest part of this whole thing. Explain to us how Shannon Watson sees what happened in the courts yesterday.
I think it is justified. I think it is long overdue. I think it actually fell a little short. I think he should have wiped that whole bill out. And no offense to my friends who put a lot of time and energy into the 9 omnibus bills that made up that omnibus bill. But in my opinion, the way we make laws is as important as the laws we make. I mean, because to your point, like that judicial decision, striking out that provision, had nothing to do with the merits of the position. It had entirely to do with how we do this. And man, if there's ever a hill I'm going to die on, it's omnibus bills.
I don't want to put you in a spot because I know Megan read it. Do you have the wording of that? But basically, the law we have in Minnesota, any bill passed has to do with a single item, items, and it has to have a title that matches or lets you know what it means. That's the law in Minnesota. Now, for 30 years, this isn't just these folks that are listening now from 2024 and this bill. They have been doing this omnibus crappy thing. You and I would agree on this forever. I mean, this is 30 years in the making. So what bothers me about what this judge did, and I presume, and I think it was Senator Gustafson was right, he didn't like the trigger thing. He might be a gun lawyer, judge. I don't know him. But he takes the one piece out and says, you can't do that because it's an omnibus bill. You can't have those in Minnesota. I agree with him, but why not then blow the whole thing up? None of this works. And he didn't. He just took out the piece that I presume that he wanted. He took out the
piece that they had brought the case. Okay. And that's, I'm trying to remember what it's called.
Minnesota gun lobby, something or other?
It's separatability
Yeah,
Separability.
Okay.
And basically that is if one part of the law is found to be in error, then that doesn't blow up the entire thing. And that's sort of where the Minnesota Supreme Court has leaned into precedent on separability. The single subject rule is actually, it's not even just a law, it's in our Constitution.
Okay.
So it's super, super important.
So how have we gotten by with it so far, Shannon? This isn't the first, 2 years before that, 2 years, everything is this. How has that happened that they've done it if it's in our Constitution?
Well, we have 3 branches of government. We have checks and balances. Although I will say, like, as an aside, I saw a really funny thing on social media a few days ago, and somebody had said something about how, we spent way too long talking about checks and balances in junior high civics for what's going on right now to be going on. Like, I found that very funny. So anyways, to answer your question, why does this happen? Number one, because both parties do it. And in Minnesota, we swap majorities back and forth so often that it's, a pox on both your houses. And the Supreme Court in Minnesota has generally avoided telling their co-equal branch of government what to do.
See, they have the right to do that until someone brings up a lawsuit. I agree with you, the legislator, both sides, this gives us so many places to hide. I just used the current one. We, in the Democrats in the House, did not vote against the Office of Inspector General. We voted against voting for the Office of Inspector General. So it didn't come. And it's like, what kind of game are you playing to me? And so, like this trigger bill, I don't know, for it, against it. I don't know. I like the straw portion of it, make it more. But back to my point. So the Minnesota whatever gun folks decide they don't like this.
Minnesota Gun Owners Caucus. There are several groups. Okay. Some of them are actually doing what they say they're doing. Some of them are not. So get the name right.
Okay, no, thank you. I appreciate it. I don't have it on the top of my desk here. So they take it to court. Good for them. So their piece gets pulled out. What we are setting up now, if I'm not a crazy knucklehead, and I throw $80,000, I don't know why 80's in my head. Let's say it costs $80,000 to do a lawsuit up through the Supreme Court, right? I don't know what it costs. Not my business. But let's say there's somewhere in that ballpark. Now, each and every person that had a law passed last year, that 2024 omnibus bill, that wanted out, should now pile on. Here we come. It's going to be a steady stream of these saying, wait a minute, this doesn't fit. And now there's precedent. Is this going to take 100 of these to get will this change the legislature next year? Will they think through this twice?
I think that the question is, like, how far is it going to go? Like the judge's decision, Senator Michael Kroon put this on his Facebook page, so I know where to find it. He says, make no mistake, this is the judge's decision. During the late hours of May 19th, 2024, lawmaking did not occur within the framework of the Constitution. And then something. If there has ever been a time for the draconian result of invalidating the entire law, that time is now. That judge invited people to bring all the lawsuits. And before I logged on here, I've been looking, like, I need to go back and find the 1,400 pages, what all was in that law. Because that's the thing. It's going to be death by 1,000 cuts, is that they now have a precedent.
Does the Al and Shannon get together, the Al Travis Show, the majority in the middle, and say, life would be better. We will get back to the way things should be. Look at the Constitution we came up with. Yes. Do we go to somebody and say I don't know if it's class action. I want to say it's all wiped out. I don't want 1,000 pricks, pin needles making this work. I want to throw out the entire 2024 omnibus bill as is, make them start fresh. Now, everyone would hate me. I get that. But wouldn't that then eliminate this thing in the Supreme Court? It'll go to the Supreme Court. We should talk about that. Oh, on the other side, they're going to move this up the ladder. But at least we would get somewhere, somehow, someone saying, what we've been doing for 30 years, both sides, has been wrong, or it's been right. And if it's right, watch out, Katie, bar the door. What keeps an individual from doing that?
What does that I don't know. You gotta get a lawyer. to answer that question.
See, it's going to cost me money just to get a lawyer to find out the question. That's why they can do this. I got to go to break. We're not. We got to go to break. We'll be back after this. We've got more. It's not done. It looks like they're going to try to take this up to the Supreme Court. We'll talk about why they should or should not with Shannon Watson and Majority in the Middle.
Tired of one-sided media and divisive noise drowning out your conservative values? Take back the conversation with Braver Angels. Join a grassroots movement to restore civility and find common ground without compromising your principles. As a conservative, your voice matters. Share your perspective on issues like immigration and public health in red-blue workshops and help rebuild trust in our great nation. Be a leader in depolarizing America. Sign up for free at mn.braverangels.org. Braver Angels, where conservatives, liberals, and independents unite for a stronger republic.
Dust from livestock buildings can be harmful to your animals and to you. Coughing animals can lead to costly vet visits and other serious health problems. Now there's an environmentally safe solution for your dust problems. It's called Dust Lock. Dust Lock can control the dust all summer long with just one application. Protect your animals and your health with Dust Lock. Learn more at dustlock.com.
As in alligator. L also in alligator. But it's not alligator. It's the Al Travis Show.
And we've got her on the show with us, Shannon Watson with Majority in the Middle. We'll talk why this is so important to, I think, what you and I want to do with all of this. But first, It seems, on knee-jerk reaction, it sounds like the state is going to take this to the Supreme Court, right? The Walz administration?
Well, they're going to appeal it, yeah.
Okay, so...
I don't know where it goes.
Yeah, we're all going to learn a lesson here, people. But my point is, do you really think that's good for anyone in the legislative branch to push it that far? You may not get the answer you want. I read that constitutional line. All things must be one certain bill about all like items, and it has to have a name that you understand that that's what it's about.
Right.
How far can we be away from that with 1,500 pages where part of it's parental leave and then part of it's a double trigger gun lock thing?
And road funding and tax provisions. And I think the ag bill was in there too.
So, I mean, I'm not a constitutional scholar, but just Joe Average guy, I think they're going to lose this. And then does that invalidate everything that happened? Or the Supreme Court's going to say, you don't do it again? You know what I'm saying? I don't know how but watch what you wish for, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was reading during the break. I was looking at a thing, and the Star Tribune had quoted the Attorney General saying that, basically talking about the trigger ban itself. That's fine, but that's not what the court was talking about. The court was not talking about the merits of the trigger ban. It was talking about the way it was done, and the way it was done was right. So yeah, I think an examination of how much we want to ask for is that's a good question.
Well, then for folks like you and I, which there are very few of those circles that we overlap,
right?
What the Venn diagrams in our lives.
Yes.
But I think this is a very large overlap for you and I. Maybe for different reasons, but I'll give you mine. I don't like my representatives to be able to hide from an issue that is important to me or whoever. And like this trigger ban, complete honesty, raise your hand. Did you know the double barrel trigger thing, whatever was in there? No clue. Mm-hmm. Now it becomes the thing that's going to rock us all. And again, I don't know where I stand on it. Why don't we all stand up, Representative, Republicans, Democrats, vote on it. Let's have the conversation about it. Then I know. But we hide stuff. And again, I use we didn't vote against the office of Inspector General. We voted about not voting for it. Stop it. This, I think, would clear that up.
That's a good distinction. I think that one's a good distinction. Because again, like, process matters, and I would argue in this case process matters, in that case process matters. It's interesting the way the trigger ban thing wound up in I think it was the Judiciary Omnibus Bill that was part of this omnibus bill. That was added to, wasn't added. So when so Senator Julia Coleman, who you have on your show.
She's coming up in a matter of minutes.
Oh, she's going to have things to say. All right, so I'm not going to talk about it.
It's a good day for Al.
It is a good day for Al. So she carried the bill that had increased penalties for straw purchasers.
Yep.
And she did this like in 2023, and if my memory serves correctly, that passed, I think it was judiciary unanimously.
Yep.
And then it got stuck in finance. And then the Burnsville shooting thing happened. And then that bill was cloned and the trigger thing was added to it.
Okay.
And the challenge at that point was increased penalties for straw purchases was something that, I think that could have gotten out of the Senate 63, 64 to 3 or 4, like overwhelmingly bipartisan support. But when you paired it with the other thing, that's when it goes to party line votes. And so my organization has, I'm not saying we're going to bring a lawsuit. I don't have the resources for that, frankly. But one of the things that we have advocated for is get individual bills, because when the stuff passes on party line votes, all it does is highlight our differences. Mm-hmm. Like, let's find the things that we can agree on, pull those out. Like, so I still maintain, like, straw purchase things that should have been voted on individually. If you want to have a vote on this other thing, do it. But yeah, when you lump it all together, it highlights. Again,
I call it the ability to hide. I had to vote for the omnibus bill to get us out of, where otherwise we'd be here forever. I vote for it. I didn't like it. They can get by with that. Senator Gustafson, roughly, she said the amount of work it would take if you didn't do this, the hours of sitting in meetings and on commissions and boards. And even then you give a lot of power to, let's say, the right in this case. They can filibuster everything and slow this process down to where nothing gets done. And I said, and that's fine by me, because if they're doing that on this one bill, whatever it is, then they mean it. And I can either keep them or get rid of them for that, but I know where everybody stands. I'm okay if this grinds us to almost a halt. We had how many? 7,000? You know this number. How many bills were brought up last year? 7,000?
Something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that, yeah.
That's craziness to begin with.
It was like 11,000 the biennium before, so it was a lot.
That's cray-cray, to be quite honest with you, that we have that many. So now the management's going to have to say, folks, we got to get down the things we can get done that are not, and I think that's good in the long run. Your thoughts?
Well, and technically, each bill to become law is supposed to have a public hearing. So it doesn't add like all the committee time. I think she's talking about, as things go to the floor and then they're in a very performative space. Yes. And that's where people do the stuff. There's also a way to move things by consent. Doing a consent calendar and say, all right, here's all the things that we agree on, and then everybody vote on that. Like, that's fine as well. But yeah, we've advocated for a couple of years, like if you're gonna have the party line, and that's the thing. There's a I'm sure we're probably running out of time.
We're out of time. Yeah.
We will talk about it again
next week. Oh, it's going to still be in the news. I appreciate you a ton. I appreciate you coming on right after this. What this might be, as small as the double barrel trigger thing, whatever they call it, the
binary trigger. Yes.
As small as that, I think actually might be the biggest thing that's happened in Minnesota legislatively or in the courts in a long time, because this could change fundamentally the way they do business for the next 30 years, right?
I would hope so.
Fair.